Hello, everybody. It's vanburman here, and I just got to start with something very funny before I get into the gist of it. Last episode was I was blurry, and the background was in focus because of my new setup, and I've just recorded, or about an hour ago, recorded this video. Unfortunately, I had to wait for my battery to charge, and I realised that for 15 minutes I was talking, literally talking to myself. I know this is still me talking to myself, but literally talking to myself because I forgot to activate my microphone on my audio interface. Very bad. And the worst part was, I actually this doesn't normally happen, but I came across thinking I made all the points I wanted to make and more and delivered it as succinctly as I possibly could. And now there's no chance I'm going to be able to replicate that at all in this particular video. But never mind. If you need some context to the where all this talk came from, then please do go back and watch my last video on the timeless gaming convention that I attended in Bury. So one of the panels that I went to was the content creator panel. Unfortunately, I wasn't asked to go up, but I mean, I think I probably would have done, but that's not the point. No, all jokes aside, I would not really like to do that. However, there's some things that became quite apparent to me on that particular stage and forum, and the type of questions that were being asked, and just the general murmurs or like conversations I could hear in the background around me from that particular panel that they were doing. So all of them, I've not heard of any of them previously, other than Josh, who was doing being the host, if you like, of the panel. And not if you like, he was. And they were all clearly, I imagine, successful or on the trajectory to success, and have broken through like that initial barrier and found success either doing, music bits, or they found success through TikTok, Twitch. I didn't think anyone mentioned Instagram or anything like that, but multiple different things as well as YouTube. So not just the YouTube sphere, but definitely, I think they all probably had a presence on YouTube. There's lots to talk about, why they started to get into making videos, and a lot of it was about like around COVID type of thing. And I often feel as though it's probably quite almost random that people just tend to have something that like sparks their transition, I guess, from being aspiring to doing it for your livelihood, right? And a lot of the talk was around doing it for your livelihood and finding a way to differentiate yourself from other people and add value to people's lives, and do it because you love it. But then also the subcontext of that being, when it's your livelihood, you do it for your paycheck as well. And for me, differently, I suppose my talent is longevity, or continuing to do something while people may traditionally think it is not a success. However, I have had great success on YouTube, much more than I could ever possibly have imagined. I think that part of it was sort of comparing it to myself, I suppose, in a way, but because the point I want to make is that there was no view on that particular panel for like being a hobbyist YouTuber, particularly when you think about the way it started, back in the day when my channel was first born 16 and a half years ago. That was what YouTube was about. My videos were me goofing around with my friends. Some of it was in school, which probably nowadays you absolutely would probably not be allowed to share on YouTube. It's too late. I've already recorded them, and did get their permission of sorts. But by the by, it was for hobbyists, of people who, want to have a creative outlet, and at least that is how I approached my YouTube channel to begin with. It's always been very much for me and what I wanted to do. I have been part of some smaller niche communities throughout my time, which has been absolutely lovely and a delight, of course. But we all have our seasons in those particular things. But the one constant has been me and my desire to want to, document the things the games that I've played, what I think about them, particularly, the top 5 games of the year is something that I do religiously, even when very ill with tonsillitis or whatever it may be, and hopefully that continues. And I'm sure that I've proven to myself that this is something that I want to do purely for the love of it, and not because it is in any way a livelihood for me. And that is the point I'm trying to make from that is that it's particularly freeing. I don't have to rely on, because many of the questions were about or many of the things I guess that were lauded in that particular panel was about, getting free stuff. And, even me, not very successful by any stretch, particularly compared to the people on stage, I get sent free things very occasionally as well. So it's stupid stuff usually. So, and I've been offered things, of course. But I don't need to do that or rely on any of that in order to make the videos that I make, because, I'm very fortunate that my livelihood outside of YouTube is, one that I've been able to cultivate over, through my hard work, diligence, not necessarily not my education per se, I suppose. My degree doesn't play any part in my particular job, but the skills that I guess that brings, the critical thinking element, and the hard work and determination of the jobs I've done leading up to where I am now has put me in a position where, I'm very happy, and, I'm able to do stuff that's even, outside of job and YouTube and gym, like learning new skills. Like I have been taking on a lot more like, I know DIY, but also more DIY woodworking stuff and that kind of thing, which was absolutely alien to me, a very long time ago. But the point is, there's no pressure, I guess. Like I can explore and get involved with the things, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do so, that I see value in for myself, without this pressure of, I need to get this sponsorship deal from Activision, or I'm going to ask them to send me a free whatever, and I will, promote it on my channel to my followers, that kind of thing. Like, I have no problem with being sent something for free that I think looks interesting and do a video on. Done it before, done it with games, in fact, quite a lot. More so in previous years when it was more of a thing. But, I enjoyed the challenge of, okay, let's try and pick up this game. Let's try and, think about what my first impressions are. And a lot of the times, they were games that were not particularly either commercially successful in any way or any sort of cult following, but also games that I necessarily didn't really enjoy. So a key one for me, I guess, would be I got sent Kenshi very early on in my, or relatively early on in my sort of like gaming era or gaming season of YouTube, which has been the one that has been the longest and probably will prevail, I would imagine. But I very much struggled to get to grips with like the UI and that sort of stuff when that was becoming a thing. And I've been very fortunate the fact that I was sent that very early and it's become actually a really big success. And I'm very glad for it, because even then, when I was, playing these like really early beta builds and it was like absolutely punishing, I believe it still is quite punishing. It's really great to see that come on in its own way. And, I don't necessarily think I was a part of that, because I struggled with the game when it was so early on, I think. And I know I had a lot of criticism, or like niche criticism, but obviously it's a lot because I don't necessarily get that much for my Age of Decadence review, for example. But, the point is, because I didn't like it, basically, TLDR. But I don't have those kind of responsibilities where, I have to take things, which happens to some people, or I have to give you an opinion that's not mine. I mean, there's some opinions that I choose not to share, of course, on YouTube, and that's because I want to because it's not the sort of things that I want to share. I've changed my attitude to what I do share on YouTube quite a bit over the years, or now compared to how I was previously. There's a lot less sort of really personal stuff. I mean, there's some little tidbits there, not that you would really get anything out of it. Bringing it back to the convention, though, people in earshot of me talking about how they're pretty desperate to be successful and for it to be their livelihood, and try and look for anything that they can do to make their dream a reality. And I think that we miss the point, and they did, and it was touched on, having the love to do it. Like, everyone needs motivation to be able to put out content and create something, and like learn new skills and all the rest of it. It does become a point, though, where it is a livelihood, hopefully a livelihood that you enjoy, but ultimately it does become the vehicle that puts food on your table, puts a roof over your head, and all the rest of it. I don't begrudge people for that whatsoever, but we need to see everything. We need to be in a position where we can see even the stuff that is below that as a success. And in fact, for me, as I've alluded to already, I see my current scenario as being more successful. You know, the fact I can support myself, family, all the rest of the things that I would like to do through my actual real life, well, I say real life job, but like traditional job, shall we say. And then I'm able to do this as a hobby, as and when I feel like it. And I think one of the points that I'm also keen not to brush over or gloss over at all is that, there have been a couple of periods in my YouTube career where things have gone very well, relatively speaking, for my channel. So, for example, with my RPG Maker videos and also then with the Steam Deck videos. Now, I could have carried on doing that, ongoingly, and there were some other channels that made the RPG Maker videos who did far more than I did, and mine were pretty popular, really, for that kind of genre. It's quite niche, obviously, and I enjoyed to do like the little teaching videos, the tutorial videos. I think it's probably born out of the fact that lots of I've looked on YouTube for lots of different tutorial videos for installing XYZ and like different like mod files that are have a bit of nuance or complication to them, which is why I've made those videos over the years, because I sort of see it as my way of paying back, and hopefully I present in such a way that makes it easy to understand. I feel as though I have done previously, and hopefully that's come across. I've not had too much criticism, so I'm going to assume that everything's fine. And then we also have, but I didn't carry on that because I decided I wanted to go and venture into doing other things. But I was glad for that period, doing a lot of gesticulars. Don't know why. So probably because I'm very tired now, having to read that, because I missed up the first one of these videos. But nevertheless, and then the second time I obviously had the Steam Deck videos, I guess, in the far more recent history, and I thoroughly enjoyed my period of messing around with games for that and testing out, and people, getting in contact with me more frequently off YouTube through Discord and emails and that kind of thing. And it was great, to have that kind of interaction, and I had and made the space for it. But ultimately, I'm very glad to be back where I am now, where I can do what I want to do. And, a lot of my stuff has been trying to finish off series that I've started, in previous years that I haven't got around to finishing for one reason or another. And that's been like one of the challenges I've really set myself very recently, I would say. And, it's good to close those circles. It's not that I'm wrapping things up to shut down to not make YouTube videos anymore, but, I think it shows that, I've had a lot of success in those series that I've restarted, funnily enough. And that's been great to see. And I think that, I am, that there are those 5 or 6 people that do watch my channel religiously, who enjoy that as well, which is a beautiful thing. It really is. And it means me a lot to me. But ultimately, if those 5 or 6 people weren't around watching my videos, then I would still make them. There are plenty of videos on my channel, some of which are actually not like, I'm aware, obviously everyone is their own worst critic, but there are some videos on my channel that aren't even that bad comparatively, that have very, very few views on. And then there are some that are not very good, like real trash, and have done like moderately successful for the channel, right? So I don't really tend to really fret over numbers too much. Number go up is always nice, obviously, and you're not going to find anyone, I don't think, that will say that is a problem, suffering from success, right? But it's okay. Like it's sometimes it's a success not to be a success, and to find your own value in what you do and the work that you create. I think that would be one of the takeaways that I think was really missing from that particular panel, because ultimately there are going to be a lot of people that do it as hobbies, and we don't want, I certainly anyway, don't want people to think, oh, well, unless I have 1 million subscribers, I'm a failure. Absolutely, you are not. Having 100 subscribers is a huge success. My goal, my lofty height goal that I set myself, I think I've mentioned this in previous videos, but I will just square the circle off now, was 1,000 subscribers, 1 million views. Passed that luckily, very fortunately, I passed 1,000 subscribers a very long time ago, and I passed 1 million views some time ago now. I think it might be very much closer to 2 million, but I can't actually remember. But they have been like my 2 bit, and I also wanted to do the 24-hour live stream, which is the only accolade that I can't now prove because YouTube never saved my live stream. I know in hindsight it's down to me, and I should have done a manual local recording. at the time. And I didn't, and I do regret that because that would have been great. I have no desire to do another one because the first one's pretty brutal, not going to lie. But I guess never say never, right? But I'm not getting any younger. And sleep deprivation is probably like one of the worst things you could do to me. So, not up for that at all. I have rattled along 15 minutes again, which was exactly the same length as the other one. So I think hopefully I made all the points that I wanted to make in my last video. If anyone is particularly really good at lip reading and wants to do closed captions for the video that I didn't record, go and do that for someone else. But yeah, thank you very much for your interest. Yeah, I will see you all very soon. But yeah, I think the key takeaway is that the hobbyist, like plucky, like shot on a old school Nokia Walkman or whatever, like that is the fundamentals of what YouTube used to be. And I think YouTube will either die or that's what it will end up being in the end. I think, I know, so we would say goodbye, but I think one of the points I remember is it's going to become a very two-tier thing. One, heavily sponsored huge creators who will always get into trouble because they can't handle the fame or success when they get too big. Which is another reason why I'm very thankful that I have not had that. And then the people who are hobbyists who do it because they are very passionate about something and either want to share that with, like, try to share that with other people, or they want to do it for my more closer to, I guess, my motivation for my own personal documentation and hopefully to entertain the 3 or 4 people that are still watching this particular video right now. 2 people now, 1 person now. And I'm going to say goodbye. So therefore, I've spoken to all of you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.